obviously everyone was here for the previous presentation. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for staying for this afternoon's pitch. I want to talk to you about Blur, the international e-commerce company, and start with a question. Pretty much everyone in this room would buy it. You buy everything else online today, but why not business services? That's the question and the whole premonition behind the company. With the way the internet has developed over the last 10 years particularly, until this point, with the speed of broadband and the internet service across the world, we can now offer this sort of service to global companies and to everyone that wants to do business with us. So you buy everything else online, why not business services? I joined Blur back in September. It had a rocky road last year in the AIM stock market, as I'm sure any of you that follow Blur have seen. We're through the rocky road piece now. I'm looking forward to announcing some new results in April 2015 for the year end December. At the moment, we've got 50,000 businesses in 145 countries worldwide have adopted our e-commerce platform to buy or sell service online. So this thing is now getting some scale. It's starting to really move and it's starting to really motor. I've put out 2 or 3 announcements recently, one for a new $17 million deal with a national cycling team that's going to compete in the Tour de France and all the major cycling ones. That's a 4-year sponsorship deal. We announced our biggest ever enterprise deal of $3 million in the last 2 weeks, which is for a well-known international FMCG company. We're not allowed by them yet to announce a name, but we will do in due course. That's probably the most exciting thing we've announced. I mean, Blur has a history of announcing lots of big deals over the years, but actually this is the first one that's a proper enterprise company, $3 million deal. It's about us helping them with a technology solution across the globe. And that's the sort of thing our exchange is really built for. It's to actually attract companies like this to our platform and to actually help them sort their needs. In terms of the overview, Blur is a cloud-based technology. It's purely cloud-based. Everything we do is in the cloud. Everything we do is set up to not, we eat our own dog food. We work in a model where we have 65 employees today, down from nearly 100 just over a year ago. So in the last year, we've managed to double our business, yet we've actually taken our headcount down to 65. When I looked at joining this company, the one thing I really wanted to test and examine was this really a technology company? Or like a lot of tech companies you see, it's actually a small piece of technology and a lot of people behind the scenes peddling like crazy. This is certainly one that is a technology company. It's a pure platform play, and it's global. It's doing its best now. It's a very scalable model. The fact that we've actually doubled our business in the last year, reduced our headcount, and we're on our path to profitability that the market is waiting to see, shows that this model is scalable now. So year-on-year growth, we announced $49.1 million of bookings for the year ended 31st December. That's up from $22.2 million the year before. So our bookings number is doubled, more than doubled. And we're in line with the market expectations on revenue. I'll show you what the market expects and a few slides a bit later on. So year-on-year growth is really good. We have sufficient cash now, currently $17.4 million at the end of the year. That would take us through to break even and cash flow positive. We expect to be break even by the end of this calendar year, and we were cash flow positive in the first quarter of next year. And in terms of having a very strong management team, a very good board of directors that are very well balanced, give a great deal of independence to the company, and it's important as we grow that we have that independence and that strong board with us. And we are already global. We have 65 employees, 10 of those are based in Dallas. We have a few people in London, but 65 in total. And I think the thing that excites most of us is actually the size of the opportunity. It's a global market opportunity. The business services market is a $2 trillion opportunity for companies like Blur. And obviously we won't get access to all that spend because we're after what's known as tail spend. And tail spend, we talked to KPMG recently, we talked to the head of procurement. She will quite openly say she controls every project or every spend over £100,000. Anything less than £100,000, she has no visibility on. It's completely spent by people all across the companies, and that she has no control over that. And that's the same in most large corporations. They have this huge tail spend of money that's spent by managers across the companies that aren't part of the global the global policies and procedures. So, $2 trillion market. We think there's 641 billion of that is addressable to us. And we think in the next 5-10 years, there's no reason why we shouldn't be accessing $6 to $12 billion of that marketplace in terms of revenue. So that's the size of the opportunity this company has ahead of it. And even though our revenue numbers are quite small at the moment, the scale at which this will take up will mean that those numbers are very doable for us in the long term. The elevator pitch. So what is Blur? So Blur is, and it's quite strange. I've been asked this question so many times today. I wish I'd just put the slide up on the wall behind me. I think next time I think I'll probably do that. It's a sourcing, project management, and payment platform. And that piece is important. It's where businesses can interact with over 50,000 fully vetted suppliers. So why do companies like Amazon use us? Amazon have recently become a very good user of our platform. And not just name dropping, but they're a good example of a company that started off by doing a typical small project. They come to us with a test, actually, to see if we could help them launch Amazon Prime in Mexico, of all places. And it was like a $5,000 or $10,000 test to see how we'd respond. We found them a great expert. We ended up doing it quicker than anybody else ever done it for them. And they were happy. And if you look on our website today, you'll now see there's about another 6 or 7 projects on at the moment, the largest one being $300,000 to launch the Amazon's new global delivery service in China. And so once companies test us and get the idea of how this works, then they come back because they suddenly realize actually there is a better way of buying and selling services, a better way of buying services in their case. And if you're on the other side of the market, if you're a seller, you're getting access to some of the biggest companies in the world now through our platform. And the good thing for if you're the person selling that, so most people in this room today that we've seen on the exhibition stands, pretty much every company on the exhibition stands today should be looking to use our platform. And if not, I'd probably question why not. And that sounds a bit arrogant. It's not meant to be arrogant. It's just there is a better way of buying some of this stuff. And most people end up buying from the same suppliers over and over again. You never really go true competitive tender in a neutral way. And that's what we encourage people to do. So, so what is Blur? It's really a secure environment where you can go out and buy services that you need. We are customer obsessed. We believe that we give people more choice. We make it very easy for them to do business. It's very fast. It's very fair. And quite often we go to companies and they will have their own pet suppliers. And what we say, okay, if you've got a pet supplier, let them put them on the platform. We will compete. We'll let them compete against the rest. And it's amazing the price differences that come in because, we had a few examples today. People said, so give me how does this work then? And I said, okay, if you've got a marketing project, you're a small company, for example, you want to have a new website, you might see your budget is £2,000 or £3,000. You put it on there, and we will go out and pitch for that business for you. We will manage the whole process. All you do is give us a brief, and we will pitch it. And it will come back. And typically, we save 25 to 30% for most companies in terms of what we get them. But normally, at a better service in a much quicker time. In terms of easy to do business with, there's an 8-step process. And in the interest of time, I won't go through every one of the steps. But it's what I've said. So really, you brief us. You put the brief goes out onto the platform. People come back and pitch. We normally get 30 to 40 pitches back for everything we put. The system and the technology then works out what are the best 3 based on past experience. So we vet the suppliers. We then test them. We take customer feedback on how they performed. So, our biggest competitive advantage now and the biggest barrier to entry is the 50,000 experts we have on our system. That takes a long time to get to that stage. Let's give you a specific customer case study, Kia Group. Kia Group, we sort of fell upon Kia because they're building the innovation centre next to our base in Exeter. And we were talking to them one day. We went to look around their new site. They had a marketing issue. And their issue was the fact that they had more marketing to do. Could we help them? So we did a small test project first. And now we do all their marketing for them in terms of every new building, all their signage. Because to them, what happened was, the challenge they set us was they wanted to source a new supplier that could actually respond within their timeframes. And the problem with these sorts of companies now, most people cut headcount back. They don't want to spend lots of time on overheads. And so they reduce the headcount down to a level where people just haven't got the time to go out and do proper competitive tender. It takes a long time to do it properly. Within 2 or 3 weeks now, we can get a project from brief to kick off with a wide choice of experts. And that's what's giving people a nice competitive advantage now. And, so the quote you can see at the bottom, that using Blur brought huge convenience to their marketing buyers across different regions. They're all working away now that they have their individual requirements really quickly met. And that's the key to all this, is about being customer obsessed by us. And it's not just a platform that's there to match buyers and sellers together. We manage all the projects. We make sure that every project's delivered on time. That's our key measure of satisfaction, is getting our projects delivered 100% of the time, on time, to our customer satisfaction. That's how we get paid. And that's how we make our money. In terms of timescales, this one, it took us 7 days to source the supplier and 3 weeks from project kickoff to completion. They've never experienced that sort of turnaround in a marketing campaign for them. So that's the sort of time span on this particular one. And the results, as you can see, they've now got all their documentation in record quick time. The Blur model, in terms of how this works, we'll put this slide set on the website so you can look at it afterwards and see how it works. But in effect, we make a 20% margin. So if you put a website on our site for, say, £10,000, we will make £2,000 for handling that whole transaction. But the customer doesn't pay. The customer only pays any money to Blur if the customer doesn't complete the project. So we make our money from being very competitive and sharing the cost with the expert. So it's the expert that funds Blur, if you like, in this instance. But we're the principal in this arrangement because we take all the risk. So we manage the project, keep the risk, and that's what we do. In terms of competitive landscape, this is about the services landscape. So when you see the likes of SAP Ariba, of course, they're doing procurement for goods, not for services. And the reason we don't really have any true competitors yet is no one in the marketplace is doing the 10 categories that we do. It's a very tricky business. Amazon are doing some stuff in the US where they're, you can get someone to come around and fix your door for you, that sort of thing. That's different. This is about real business services. No one is competing with us on the whole 10 of these elements so far. So at the moment, in the services competitive landscape, we don't have a real competitor. Company lifeline, I think in the interest of time, I think the key bit there is just showing, this has been going for nearly 10 years now. And these sorts of exchanges take a long time to build up and to get the credibility and the numbers and the scale and the size of the number of experts and the customers you really want. And part of the reason that is because you start small. The first thing you have to do is to create the platform. You then have to attract the right experts to it, so you've got something to actually meet the demand when the demand starts to happen. You then got to go and create the demand, so you start very small. So Blur is a typical small market cap stock, a small market cap tech stock. It has a very lumpy, first 2 or 3 years. That's the nature of where it's been. Because it starts off small, with the cash risk is very high, the credit risk of the initial customers is very high. But then over time, you move to the medium-sized customers, which you've just been through. And really since last year, towards the tail end of last quarter actually, we went from a year ago taking one enterprise customer pretty much a year, to then one a month, to then one a week. And now the important things for us is the level of repeat business. So when you deal with the likes of Tesco or Regis or Amazon, it's the fact they're now coming back time and time again. I mean, GM Momentive, you see on the list there, they've done over 100 projects with us now. Admittedly, they're smaller ones, but they're like $8,000 to $10,000 a time. But that's the nature of business you want. We don't want to be out there buying lots of small programs that cost us a fortune. We want to be out there now with the likes of Tesco's and Amazon's, really getting the enterprise world, because that's where the big money is. If you want to be a $500 million company, turnover company, it'll be through being enterprise focused. In terms of the roadmap, the next phase, the technology that will come out this year will enable our rapid growth. It will continue to drive our profitability, and most importantly, it will drive increased customer engagement. We will start to bring out public APIs this year, so we start linking to the likes of NetSuite and Salesforce and SAP, because if you're an enterprise customer, they get to the point and they start to use us, and then what they want to do is to say, actually, I want all my people that are buying products outside of my main suppliers to buy through your platform, because then I can see the competitive nature of what you're doing. And so at the moment they come to us, the next stage, logical stage for enterprise customers is to actually have the platform inside their premises as well. So 2014, a reflection, a very bumpy year for Blur. Its share price a year ago was £8 something. It had a peak. It suddenly went crazy for a couple of weeks. Then it had a RevRec issue, and it had a tough year after that. And I joined in September. Really, have changed the whole finance team. We changed on our revenue recognition policies. We put in very good accounting controls. Put in NetSuite. Really tightened up all the financial process of the company, and made it just 100% focused on cash. From a financial point of view, all I care about is cash. That's my number one. And we do have enough cash to see us through to cash break even, but the focus that needs to be there day in, day out. In terms of our history, so 2014 is just finished. We finished our numbers last week. We gave a market view about 2 weeks ago saying we expect to be within the market consensus. The market consensus has got us between 11.6, 12 million revenue for the year if we just finished, and a loss of about an EBITDA loss between 6 and 8 million. So we've already declared that we're within those numbers, and that we're expecting 2015 to be within consensus as well. So, based on the fact 2 years ago we did 22 million bookings, last year 12 million, so pretty much 50% of the bookings turn to revenue next year. This year, 2014, we just announced 49 million of bookings, which makes $24, $25 million realistic this year as well. And with that, I think it's best I finish the summary slide and say thank you very much. Thank you.